This week on Adventist News Network, protecting the church's identity.
Young Adventists in Serbia turn to practical ministry.
And reaching sub-Saharan Africa with the Adventist message of hope.
These stories and more coming up.
This is Adventist News Network, a service of the Seventh-day Adventist World Church. Thanks so much for joining us this week.
First in the news, an American pastor is imprisoned for defying a court's ruling in a trademark infringement dispute. Walter McGill was apprehended last week after surrendering to federal authorities in Southern California. The Adventist Church sued McGill after he used Seventh-day Adventist in his church's name, the Creation Seventh-day Adventist Church in Guys, Tennessee. Although the church won the case, McGill refused to stop using the name. The Seventh-day Adventist Church's name is a registered trademark and can legally apply only to official churches, congregations, and denominational ministries.
The Seventh-day Adventist Church has a right to a unique name, a name that only applies to itself, a unique identity. And what Walter McGill was attempting to do was take something that wasn't his, somebody else's name, and confuse the public about what is and is not the Seventh-day Adventist Church. By defending ourselves in court, the Adventist Church is able to keep that unique identity, so when people see the name Seventh-day Adventist, they know what it refers to.
20,000 HIV/AIDS experts from around the world say increased funding and awareness can help end the decades-long epidemic. Experts and health advocates were in Washington, D.C. this week for the International AIDS Conference. They say the world's 34 million HIV-infected people need access to cheaper medication. Currently, the world community spends about $17 billion a year on AIDS prevention and treatment in the developing world.
The Seventh-day Adventist Church is fully committed in the fight against HIV and AIDS, especially in Africa and in the southern part of Africa, where there is a great network of institutions and people working to do prevention, care, and support. Now in the International AIDS Society that is meeting in Washington, the latest news is about treatment for all. Treatment for all means that all people infected, no matter their CD4 count or their symptoms, should receive treatment. And the Seventh-day Adventist Church supports this initiative.
An Adventist student's film is a finalist in Guanajuato, Mexico's 15th International Film Festival competition. Montemorelos University student Helen Hernandez submitted her script for The Crucified Christ in the short film category earlier this year. Finalists and their crews had 48 hours to shoot and edit their films in Guanajuato beginning last Saturday. But Hernandez and her crew had 7 fewer hours to film. They were in church Sabbath morning and didn't begin filming until after sundown. Hernandez says she's excited to feature the only faith-based message in the short film category. Guanajuato's International Film Festival draws thousands of young filmmakers in Latin America to compete and showcase their films each year.
Adventist young people in Serbia are inviting festival goers to trade their cigarettes for a slice of watermelon. The Adventist youth group, Relay, provided refreshments during the recent Exit Music and Cultural Festival in Novi Sad. They say the hot summer weather made their booth a popular stop and gave them a chance to share the church's focus on healthy living. The group also offered free massages and music lessons. Church leaders in Serbia say the Relay Youth Group connects with community members through service and practical outreach.
The Adventist Church's official television network is launching a new channel for speakers of Swahili, Zulu, and other major African languages. The latest offering from the Hope Channel will cover sub-Saharan Africa with a signal broadcasting from the satellite Intelsat. Hope Channel currently broadcasts its international English channel in Africa, as well as Portuguese programming through Hope Channel Novo Tempo. Earlier today, I sat down with Gideon Mutero from the Hope Channel to learn more. Thank you for joining us. Mr. Gideon Mutero, you are Vice President for Finance at the Hope Channel. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
The Hope Channel has 13 satellite broadcast channels around the world. What is involved in launching one of these channels?
There's a lot of work that needs to be done There's the signing of a contract with a satellite company for the provision of satellite service. And there's also obviously the production of programs, and that's the more difficult part. So this new channel will entail a lot of work in producing new programs that are contextualized for the African continent, and that have content that is relevant to the cultures of the people there.
And this channel that we're talking about is going to be the third channel in Africa.
Yes, it's going to be the third channel. We currently have Hope Channel International, and we also have the Portuguese channel from Novo Tempo. Those channels have been serving Africa for the last few years. This will be the third channel that will provide capability for providing indigenous languages to the African continent.
And how do you think this new channel will impact the church's work and ministry there in sub-Saharan Africa?
It's going to provide additional capability to reach many more people in their indigenous languages and have content that is contextualized to meet their cultural needs and be more appealing to them. So we look forward to the expanded viewership of Hope Channel through this new channel. There are people currently who are not able to benefit from Hope Channel International because it's in English, and this will provide them with an opportunity to receive the message through their languages. And that will be a strong evangelistic tool for Africa. So we're really looking forward to growth of Hope Channel viewership in Africa.
Sounds like a wonderful opportunity. Mr. Gideon Mutero, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
And coming up, we have a preview of the latest edition of the Adventist Review. This week, the magazine explores the value of Adventist education.
A movement toward daily scripture reading is underway. It's called Revived by His Word. The plan? To read one chapter of the Bible per day. The goal? To direct the attention of participants to the importance of knowing Jesus through His Word.
Welcome back. Here's Walona Karima Badi with a preview of this week's issue of Adventist Review.
In this week's Adventist Review, we look forward to this year's North American Division Teachers Convention with a special issue devoted to Adventist education. Many parents who have sent their children through the Adventist education system come out on the other end wondering if it was all worth it. In the piece, Would I Do It All Over Again?, parent Harper DeLong shares her experience. A career teacher reminds fellow educators of the core principles that guide their jobs. And finally, young adult editor Kimberly Lust Moran shares an insightful interview with a non-Adventist family that chose Adventist education for 2 generations. You can read these stories and more in our print edition and online at www.adventistreview.org. This issue also features Kids View, and in that edition, here's what you can look forward to. Hard to believe it, but back-to-school time is nearly here. How can you beat the back-to-school blues and set the tone for a great year? Our cover feature offers real tips to help you do just that. Can you trust God in any situation, big or small? I think you know the answer to that question, and our story will remind you of that as well as acquaint you with writing from another part of the world. And last but not least, Don't miss another fun edition of our kid-friendly calendar. For all this and more, be sure to visit us online at www.kidsviewmag.org.
This week on Meet a Missionary, we hear from a family who spends their vacation time serving others. Matthew Herzl sat down with Kevin Carbaugh and his daughter Kate.
Welcome, Kevin and Kate. I'm so glad to have you here today. Now, I understand that you aren't the first members of your family to volunteer at an orphanage in El Salvador. So tell us about what inspired you to go down there and how this all started.
Actually, my parents went before us about a year or so before. They took vacation time between Christmas and New Year's, which is the first year that we went as well. We did the same kind of thing. Instead of Christmas vacation, we took a mission trip. So it was a lot of fun, and once we went, we just couldn't stop going.
So you've gone back a number of times, I understand.
Yeah, I've gone 3 times actually, both on mission trips and just for fun.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, it's amazing to just see all the kids and help out.
So what kind of stuff do you do when you visit?
The first year we went, we built a wall for protection. And the second year we went, we did some painting. We had a good time working alongside with the kids that were there. So that's one of the examples there for you.
Oh, that must be very rewarding. So what kind of things stick in your mind? Any particular kids that you've interacted with or experiences you've had?
Oh my goodness, yes. The first time we went, there were a group of girls. There were about from the age 8 to about 14 in one house, and they were closer to where we were staying, and that's mainly where I was at. If anyone was wondering where I was at, they would always be like, oh, she's over there.
What a blessing.
Yeah, it's really important to interact with the children, and what's unique about our trip is that we continue to go back and have that relationship with the people there.
Thank you, Kevin and Kate, for joining us today. It's inspiring, isn't it, to talk with missionaries who are able to go around the world sharing the good news with others. If you'd like to learn how you can become involved, go online and read about how you can become a missionary.
For this week's Adventist social media highlights, we asked Megan Browner for a tutorial on the photo sharing app Instagram.
This week in social media, we're going to take a look at Instagram. The app/social network has been around since 2010, but its acquisition by Facebook put the photo sharing software in the headlines. So how does it work? First, you'll need to download and install the free application from your smartphone app store. Once you've chosen a username and password, you can start taking pictures. The biggest appeal of Instagram lies in its photo editing functions. You can use the camera through the app to take a picture and filters to enhance the image. The app also allows you to crop, rotate, edit saturation, and blur your photos. But you don't have to use the app to take the picture. You can also import any other photo stored on your phone and edit it in Instagram. Once you've edited your picture, you can share it with other social networks like Twitter, Facebook, or Tumblr. However, Instagram is a hangout of its own. You can follow friends and like, comment, and share other users' posts. Still not sure if Instagram is for you? We asked our Twitter friends why they like the social network. Jenna Hyde said she likes Instagram because instead of being limited to 140 characters, she can use pictures that are worth 1,000 words. Pacific Union College uses Instagram to show photos of their students in action. And Abel Marquez says he's even used photos he's taken with Instagram to design a church ministry website. So if you don't use it already, download Instagram today and start snapping. Next week on social media, our guest host Marvin King interviews media guru Chip Dizard.
For hundreds of thousands of local church leaders around the world, Elders Digest provides valuable spiritual support and leadership skills training. Jonas Arais has more.
According to the statistical report of the General Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, there are about 30,000 pastors available in the world field to serve more than 17 million members distributed in about 140,000 local congregations. But we praise God because they are not alone. We have about 250,000 local church leaders helping our pastors to take care of those congregations. One important resource prepared by the GC Ministerial Association to help these local leaders is the Elders Digest magazine. This magazine was founded in 1994 and it is designed to attend the needs of local church leaders around the world. It is prepared to help them to grow in their skills and abilities as spiritual leaders. It is recognized as the best way to share and promote church programs in the local congregations around the world. Today, about 100,000 copies in English are delivered each quarter. Elder's Digest is also printed in multiple languages all over the world. Overall, more than 220,000 copies are printed each quarter and delivered to over 100 countries. Please visit our website.
Still ahead on Adventist News Network, how to handle conflict within marriage.
But up next, this week's Tech Corner.
As I was reading the book, The Great Hope, this statement caught my attention. Amid the reeling of the earth, the flash of lightning, and the roar of thunder, the voice of the Son of God calls forth the sleeping saints. He looks upon the graves of the righteous, then, raising his hands to heaven, he cries, "Awake, awake, awake, ye that sleep in the dust, and arise." I had never experienced death on a personal level till my maternal grandmother passed away in October 1987. From that moment on, the hope of the second coming became more personal to me, and it gave me a reason to really look forward to the coming back of Jesus Christ, because for so long I've waited to see my grandmother again. This is what gives me hope as I read The Great Hope.
Welcome back. Let's turn to Darrell Thompson for this week's Tech Corner.
I'm really excited to show you today an app that we have for iOS devices. I'm holding here in my hand an iPhone. And do you know that you can download EGW writings from the iTunes website in 9 languages? We have 9 apps there that you can download. We also have EGW writings Lite version that has 17 books. EGW Writings for iOS devices is a fantastic app that you can use every day in your everyday life. If you're going to the doctor's office, for example, why not download EGW Writings for iOS devices and use it while sitting there? You can read the books. Or if you're going to have a Bible study, you can use this app right there in the study. You can create notes in the study center. You can create bookmarks. You can create highlights. And then you can lead the people through that study. It's a fantastic device for doing that. Or for example, maybe you're sitting in church and the pastor is talking about a particular verse or a particular passage from the Spirit of Prophecy. You can go directly to any of the passages right there in that app. Do you know that this app contains 420 books? Can you imagine trying to carry 420 books around with you when you can put this phone in your pocket and have all of Ellen G. White's writings right there? So visit it today.
Health professionals say that watching your waist might be more important than watching your weight. Alan Handysides and Kathleen Kuntaroff explain.
Besides, what are you doing with that measuring tape?
This is a highly sophisticated piece of medical equipment. You know, a tape measure like this is used to measure the height of the uterine fundus in pregnant women, to measure the head circumference of babies. Yes, and it can even be used to measure one's waist, like that. Now, don't take too much. Tell it's 21. Tell them it's 21.
Okay. No.
How much?
It is 37.
37 inches. Yeah. You know, that's a little bit overweight. But if it were 40, I would actually be obese. And obesity is associated with increased risks of cancer,
risk of stroke,
heart attack, diabetes,
Yeah.
so many things.
Wow.
So it's important for us to keep our waists less than 40 inches. I like this tape measure. It came from the Choir Tower. You should watch that program too. It's really good.
No married couple is immune to disagreement, but as Willie and Elaine Oliver say, knowing how to manage conflict in a healthy way is the key to a strong relationship.
One of the most important realities of marriage is that because they're two human beings who came from two different places, they're likely to have conflict. Well, perhaps not in the first hour or the first day, but I've known it to happen right after marriage. But conflict and managing conflict is so important if we're going to have a great marriage. What we do know, based on research by leading expert Dr. John Gottman, is that the first minute of conversation in managing this conflict will determine how the conversation is going to go.
Dr. Gottman recommends that since women are usually the ones who initiate conversations regarding conflict, that they learn to soften their startup. Use words that are gentle, that are kind, that will diffuse the tension in the relationship. So rather than using a you message, such as you did something wrong, try something such as an I message. I feel hurt, or I feel disappointed that so-and-so did not happen in the home today. When we soften the startup, we also want to make sure that it's absent of things such as criticism and contempt. Dr. Gottman calls those the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. There are 2 other ones, defensiveness and stonewalling. So when we learn how to soften the startup, we can really determine how the conversation is going to go, and that we will have a healthy resolution to the conflict that we're dealing with.
When we come back after the break, why shortwave radio is an ideal ministry tool.
All I could see was my husband's body just sinking to the bottom. That day, I will never forget. And that prayer was the hardest prayer I've ever said in my life.
The Great Controversy Project. Oh, it's difficult for me to say that word, project, because it is far more than a project to me. It is a movement in itself, like a movement within a movement. Don't wait for someone to come to you to ask you for it. Go, seek them out, and share the Great Controversy.
Adventist World Radio reaches even the most remote countries with the Church's message of hope. This week, Dal Chow explains why the ministry often uses shortwave radio instead of FM or AM broadcasting.
Some people ask, why do we use shortwave to broadcast the message? Shortwave is a very interesting concept. It helps us reach much more longer distances than using FM or AM bands. Shortwave is able to get our message right deep into North Korea, deep into China. These are communist countries, deep into Vietnam, Myanmar, the neighboring countries of Laos, and Cambodia, and Myanmar, and Bangladesh, and even India. So the people there, in their own language, can listen to the gospel thanks to shortwave radio. Shortwave goes up into the ionosphere, the signal, and it bounces back and travels thousands of kilometers and miles to reach these people. Today, Guam is their flagship station taking the message to all these people groups around the world. We ask you to pray as we upgrade this station to make it more efficient, that God would continue to use it to reach people groups that currently are unreached by the Adventist message.
Now let's turn to Benjamin Baker for a look at Adventist history. This week, a prominent South Pacific health leader's Adventist roots.
Welcome to This Week in Adventist History. On July 27, 1930, Maui Pomare died. Pomare, a New Zealand Maori, was born in 1876 and converted to Seventh-day Adventism in 1892. Sponsored by Margaret Cairo and Ellen White, he began studying medicine at Battle Creek College in 1893. Brilliant and articulate, Pomari toured the U.S. lecturing, garnering minor fame, and under the tutelage of J.H. Kellogg, became a skilled physician. In 1899, he graduated from the American Medical Missionary College in the first class to have the MD degree conferred upon them, also becoming the first Maori to earn a doctorate in medicine. Returning to New Zealand in 1901, Pomari lapsed from Adventism shortly after. That same year, he was appointed Maori Health Officer and is credited with saving the Maori people from the bubonic plague with ingenious health reforms. In 1911, Pomari began tenure in Parliament, during which, among other feats, he eradicated leprosy from the islands of Melanesia and Polynesia. Knighted in 1922 and appointed Minister of Health the next year, Pomari introduced myriad medical innovations in New Zealand. Sir Maui Pomari, alumnus of Adventism's first educational institution, is considered among the greatest figures in the history of the South Pacific. That's this week in Adventist history.
Thanks for watching Adventist News Network. Join us next week for more news from the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
And if you haven't already, check out our new ANN video podcast. It's the same show you're watching now, but in a format compatible with your iPod or other portable media player. You can subscribe by searching for Adventist News Network video podcast in iTunes.
Our good news for this week comes from 1 Peter chapter 3. Beginning in verse 14, the passage says, "Do not fear intimidation, and do not be troubled, but in your hearts revere Christ as Lord. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have. But do this with gentleness and respect, keeping a clear conscience."
That's our show for this week. Don't forget, you can always visit news.adventist.org for daily news and videos. Until next time, God bless.